Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. It is a beautiful morning here in southeast Wisconsin. At the beginning of October, I don't know that I'm going to get a whole lot more of these, so decided I would shoot the podcast outside. Hopefully we don't get too much traffic noise, and hopefully the wind doesn't pick up, so we don't have to deal with that either. But I guess since we're talking about a new month, we should talk about 24 in 21. For those of you who have not watched this podcast before, well, first off, welcome. But 24 and 21 was my take on building good habits and getting rid of bad habits over the course of the year, that year being 21. I decided that instead of doing the traditional New Year's resolution, that's something big and kind of easy to break as far as habits go, at least for me, I would break it down into bite-sized habits, little things that I can either add to my life or get rid of my life in terms of behaviors or time wasters or things like that. And I've been pretty successful on some of these things. So each month I take one positive thing that I want to start doing and one negative or disruptive or time wasting thing or energy wasting thing that I want to get rid of. So to recap, September, I started the month doing this VR exercise thing called Supernatural, I think is the name of it. Didn't really enjoy it, so I did a little bit of a pivot and switched to getting out and doing some sprints and walking in the morning. And if I were to grade myself on September for that, I'd probably give myself a B, maybe a B minus. My issue is I'm a bit of a fair weather outdoor exerciser, and I got to figure out maybe a way to overcome that. I don't know. I'll probably have to revisit Atomic Habits by James Clear and see if he's got any advice on that. In terms of my negative, my thing that I was going to change up was not doing coffee with heavy whipping cream and collagen powder in the morning, because I realized that was interrupting my intermittent fasting because, I'm taking in calories. So quit doing that, and as a result, I went down 6 pounds over the course of September. I made no other changes to my diet. So 6 out of the quarantine 15 plus a couple that I put on, that was nice. The downside that I've noticed is I'm starting to feel my joints more because I haven't been taking the collagen. The plan was that I would start having collagen. I'd put it like in nut milk or something with dinner, but I really kind of enjoy wine with dinner. And as a result, I just haven't been doing the collagen thing. So I'm gonna have to kind of rethink how I want to handle this for October. I do miss the coffee. I enjoy that morning coffee quite a bit, significantly more than I enjoy the green tea that I'm having right now. So in terms of October though, the 24 and 21 positive that I'm going to do, let me see, I wrote it down here. Oh man, I grabbed my wrong note sheet. Hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, I got the right one. So much of my life is just organized by little pieces of paper. And this is an example of that. So in October, the positive that I'm going to do is I'm going to get moving on my cookbook. And I figure I need to do sort of baby steps. I need to break the task down into manageable bites. Otherwise, it's just going to feel overwhelming to me. So for starters, I'm creating a spreadsheet. I've already started. So the spreadsheet has got a lot of columns in it. I think it goes out to column M or N or something like that in Excel. But it's the recipe name, the category, what else is it? I think probably difficulty, if there's special ingredients or potentially allergens, if there's any special equipment used like sous vide or an air fryer or an Instant Pot. I also want to make sure that I'm planning ahead for recipe sequencing. So are there any prerequisites to this recipe? So recipes that feed into this recipe. Is this recipe itself a prerequisite for something else? Does it pair with another recipe, like as a side dish versus a main? Things like that. Can you use the leftovers from this recipe in another recipe? Are there ingredients that you would buy that you aren't going to use up in this recipe that then you might be able to use up later in the week in another recipe? Do I have the recipe edited? So have I gone back and reviewed it on the website? Am I happy with the picture that's on the website? Is it cookbook worthy? So these are all the things that are in the spreadsheet. And I figure if I'm able to do, 3 to 5 recipes per day, that should pretty much cover my entire website over the course of the month. and then I can see where I've got gaps, where I need to fill things in, and maybe this leads into November's 24 and 21 positive. For the negative or the clutter or the wasteful thing that I want to take care of, it's time again to do another decluttering. So I did one in spring, and I need to do another one now. It's just my life fills up with clutter. Some of that's me, some of that's the family. And I'd like to get that decluttered before we go into winter. The cool thing about that is I'll probably film it and use that as a lean body mind video, because one of the concepts in lean manufacturing is a thing called 5S. It's about creating a clean, organized, and safe workplace where things just flow. So if you think about your kitchen, you want to be able to find the utensils that you need. You want to be able to find the ingredients you need. You want these things located in logical places nearby where you're going to use them. That's really the principle of 5S. So I think I'll be able to kill two birds with one stone. I'll be able to take care of a 24 and 21, as well as get some content for Lean Body Mind. So if you've been doing the 24 and 21 thing with me so far this year, let me know how your September went, and let me know what you're going to do in October. What's going to be your one positive, and what's going to be your one negative that you're getting rid of? Let me know down in the comments below. So on the subject of coffee, while I did notice that little bit of weight drop, the one thing that didn't change was my sleep. So no impact on my sleep having coffee versus not having coffee. But to follow up on last week's talk about sleep, I do feel that taking electrolytes before going to bed is improving my sleep. I think I've been doing it for 10 days now, and I would say 8 out of those 10 days, 7 or 8, I've slept straight through the night. So no waking up at 2 in the morning and staying awake until 4 in the morning. That has happened on a couple of nights, but I'm going to keep the experiment going and I'll keep you updated. So one thing I'm not looking for is additional suggestions on sleep, whether that's supplements or pillows or CPAP or anything like that. I appreciate all the suggestions that I've gotten over the months. So don't take this the wrong way. I do truly appreciate it. But I feel I've tried everything that's been suggested and not really had any sort of an impact outside of potentially these electrolytes. But I'll keep you up to date on that and let you know what I think. But for right now, we're going to take a brief little ad break. So something that happened last week that kind of rubbed me the wrong way was I had a viewer accuse me of stealing someone else's recipe. This was for the caramel sauce that I did. And I didn't. Anybody that's watched this channel for any length of time knows that anytime I use anybody's recipe, whether that's from a book, a magazine, a TV show, another YouTuber, or even if somebody was the inspiration for something, that they used an ingredient that I'd not used before, and I tried it and it made a big deal. I'm like, wow, this is a really cool idea. People should know about this. I mean, I could just rattle off countless examples of times that I've done that. Anytime a viewer has submitted an idea for a recipe to me, I've brought that up. So I was kind of taken aback at this accusation, especially given that there's only so many ways a person can make caramel sauce. There's like really 4 main ingredients, and that's whether you're making it with sugar or you're making it with allulose. It's one of those things that really what I did was just experimented with different non-sucrose sweeteners to figure out which one behaved the best. The recipe it's not that big of a deal, and it's certainly not something that I copied. So I got to talking with Dennis at Black Tie Kitchen about this, and he said, well, I could have accused you for copying me too, because I had a caramel sauce that was sort of similar to that I put on my panna cotta. And I said, well, I did my panna cotta recipe like 7 or 9 months before you did yours, so I could accuse you of copying my panna cotta. And we weren't actually accusing each other. Sort of the joke was that there's only so many ingredients out there, and unless you're doing something just crazy innovative, there's going to be some overlap in recipes. And you can't just start thinking that everybody is copying everybody, because you put enough people together trying to reach the same recipe, you're going to get some overlap. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't recipe plagiarism out there. I know there is. I've seen my recipes copied exactly. I've seen it on websites where even typos that I've made, like literally someone copied and pasted my recipe, typos and all, onto their website and gave me no credit. I saw, it was just, I think last week or maybe the week before, in my Google News feed, this person bragging about how they had created keto fries with just 3 ingredients, I think. I mean, it was Heavenly Fan's recipe, exactly. And no credit was given whatsoever. I think there are certain recipes out there in the keto world that have almost become sort of famous based on the person that created it. I think Deidre's bread, for example, a lot of people have copied that. Most have given her credit. Heavenly Fan's fries, a lot of people have copied that. Most have given credit, some haven't. But that's one thing I try and pride myself on. I want to make sure that credit is given when I do a recipe. And an area where I think we're definitely going to see more overlap and potential accusations of plagiarism on ideas are on some of the holy grail sort of recipes. I think things like pizza crust, if someone could come up with a flaky pie crust, that would be amazing. I would so love that. Tortillas as well, flatbreads, those sort of things. A lot of the flour-based stuff. Flour is that's still a challenge in the keto world, and I think as all of us continue to iterate on it and learn from each other's recipes, you'll see some similarities. But I think you'll also, hopefully, see some collaborations between myself and other keto creators. So if you've been watching my videos over the last week or so, you may have noticed a new appliance in the background, the Ninja Creami ice cream maker, and you're probably wondering, when am I going to do a review of it? I'm going to do a review of it when I've fully put it through its paces. I think that perhaps some of the reviews that are out there may be a little bit early. I want to make sure that I've really put it through its paces. I've tried the different features, both for keto ice cream, as well as some of the non-keto applications for my family. I want to make sure too, at $200 for this unit, that it's not something that just winds up being a novelty. That after a handful of weeks, I decide, I'm kind of sick of ice cream. This is going into storage or something like that. So that is coming. I've been experimenting a lot with keto chow and using that as a base for ice cream, and have had pretty good results, but I'm still dialing it in. And until I'm sufficiently happy with the ice cream, I'm not going to share that, just because that's sort of the way I roll. I want to make sure that I'm really happy with the recipe. Sort of on the subject of keto chow, well, not specifically, but Chris Bear of Keto Chow is a super techie guy and a really pretty awesome guy as well. And he has been helping me out lately with OBS Studio, which is going to allow me for Lean Body Mind to do certain videos where like I'm screen sharing and different camera angles and things like that. But more excitingly, I think, is when I do my kitchen live streams for my channel members, I'll be able to set up probably 3 different cameras in my kitchen and be able to cycle between them as I'm cooking. So I could have sort of the Steve cam, where you're looking at me. I could have the oven cam where you see what's cooking, and maybe something else, the refrigerator cam, the dishwasher cam, I don't know. But I've seen other YouTubers use multicam setups to great effect. I think Wes does a really great job over on High Falutin Low Carb. Dennis, again, I'm kind of naming off all my YouTube pals here, but Dennis at Black Tie Kitchen has done some good stuff on live streaming with it. So I was having trouble getting it to work on my laptop, and Chris spent about an hour with me yesterday getting it squared away. And I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't, well, this goes back to me giving credit. He's the one that helped me figure it out. So I owe him a big thanks. Thank you, Chris. One of the other videos that I'll do before the end of the year, in sort of a series of onboarding new keto people for the new year type of videos, is going to be a keto pantry video. So going through my keto pantry, sharing some of the things that I think are must-haves, some of the things I wish I hadn't bought, some of the things that have very specialty or niche type uses, that sort of stuff. But as I was going through my keto pantry, and we also have a big food storage area downstairs, not because we're preppers or anything, but I joke periodically that if you've got a Costco membership, it almost makes you a prepper. Plus, I buy a lot of keto type ingredients just to experiment. So things like different brands of the same ingredient. There's so many different sweeteners out there and sweetener blends. I wind up buying those. I got a lot of stuff spread across the pantry and the food storage area downstairs. And I started wondering, I wonder how long I could survive just on the food in this house. Months, probably. Although I would miss eggs and heavy whipping cream. Those would be two things that I would still need to get from the grocery store. But if I just had eggs and heavy whipping cream combined with the stuff in my house, I bet you I could last easily 6 months. Easily. And probably longer if I resorted to cannibalism. But let's not go there. That might get this channel demonetized. So I'd be curious to know, if you go through your pantry, your freezer, how long do you think you could last without any additional shopping, with the possible exception of eggs and heavy whipping cream? Let me know down in the comments. I think this would be fun. And I think that's going to be about the end of this podcast. I had a couple other topics that are a little edgy, and I'm thinking about saving those for next week. Well, I'm going to save them for next week or the week after. I'm not sure. But I've got a couple sort of in the hopper that I think are going to be rather provocative topics. And I'm looking forward to discussing them, and I'm hoping that we can all discuss them without getting emotionally hijacked. But that's just a little teaser of what's to come. That's it for this podcast. Thanks for watching or listening.